Good morning. Today is March 16th, 2025. It's been a few weeks since I've made any recordings. That kind of tends to happen when you have a lot of kids. We have seven, and we both work full time, me and my husband, and we also coach uh, some of their sports teams. So one of the things that I've been pondering on for the past, probably since my last video, was the idea of Psyops, which stands for psychological operations. And it's a term that I had to learn about when I was getting my warfare qualifications while in the Navy. And I wanted to start by reading the definition, probably more than one version of the definition, from the Merriam-Webster dictionary of what it is. So PSYOP is a military operation usually aimed at influencing the enemy's state of mind through non-combative means, such as a distribution of leaflets. So that is the traditional definition that I learned while I was in the Navy. So a secondary definition, which this definition is what prompted me to even think about this to begin with, is someone or something used by the government to influence the population's opinions and attitudes. So I take notes at random. I believe that I mentioned in my previous video or post, I can't remember which, about blindly following a leader and how that is such a dangerous path to go down. This idea of blind leadership, right? Or it's more like blind followership, because you as an individual are just following the leader because they're your leader and not questioning everything or anything for that matter. So Fox News, which I don't even really consider them news, but unfortunately, that's how they portray themselves. They settled last year for $787.5 million for lying repetitively during the 2020. Then you have also the current White House press secretary, Carolyn Levitt, who says the most outlandish and untrue things. And I'm not sure if individuals aren't doing their own research or they're just taking it as face value, like, oh, it's coming from the White House, it must be true. But we're really in unprecedented times right now. And I think that that is the part that frustrates me the most. So I feel like the majority of the American people have been duped. And maybe that's not accurate. Maybe it's a slight majority of voters have been duped, but I feel like they've been played in the same way that our military has used psychological operations against enemies during times of war. That's been used against the American people, and in many ways is still being used against the American people currently. So that's really I don't even know what to say about it. I think I'm just frustrated at lack of coverage of what's really going on, or big media outlets' choice of words. So there's actually been quite a bit of protests throughout the country for what's going on right now, whether it's immigration issues or veterans issues or the entire Doge. But my point is, I haven't seen anything about that on mainstream media. If I wasn't already on a different platform to receive my news, which right now happens to be through Substack primarily, I wouldn't even know about some of this stuff going on. I think that I would also classify myself as someone who doesn't even really follow the news or follow politics historically. I'm 43 years old, and I think in this particular case, what has set me on this path was at the inauguration, or the day of inauguration for our current president, Trump. He pardoned all of the January 6th insurrectionists. And that set, I don't know how else to say it other than it's a spidey sense. So it sent my spidey sense off. And really, ever since that moment, I've been following things much more closely. And I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing yet, but I'm probably making the people around me crazy. But now I'm in it, and I'm in it to win it. I want my children, all of them, to grow up, live, thrive, and not deal with what we're currently dealing with. My children are mixed race, and they're going to be viewed a certain way, whether I like it or not, whether they like it or not. But the amount of words, framing that's going on right now that reminds me of what we learned in history makes me sick to my stomach. The way we are treating people makes me sick to my stomach. The amount of excuses for someone who is horrible makes me sick to my stomach. On Valentine's Day, the White House put out a post and it was awful. It was something along the lines of, roses are red, violets are blue, come here illegally and we'll deport you. And I made a comment on the post, which I typically do not do. And it was something along the lines of, this is an official White House or government social media platform, and that's what we're posting. And it was kind of rhetorical in basis, but I also mentioned how sick it made me to my stomach that our government's leadership, social media platform, however you want to frame it, chooses to come out with that. And maybe that's not the first time, but it definitely was something I noticed and I didn't like. And why are we treating people that way? Our entire country was founded on other people coming here and, quite frankly, taking stuff from people that didn't belong to, quote, us being the immigrants, the original immigrants to our country. The fact that we can have this total audacity to treat people in that way, I can't make it make sense. And I don't know what that means for the future. And then Doge wants to, I'm all over the place with my thoughts here because I'm so floored by all of it. But this Doge comes out, this Department of Government Efficiency. You can't make that make sense to me because what a freaking waste. How about they come out and explain how many of those people are on that team? How much are they getting paid? Because I know they're getting paid stupid amount of money. And then all of these layoffs, firings, all this craziness that's happening as a result of it. So you had people laid off for like a month or more, and then they come back to work, but they've missed a whole month. But the government has to back pay them because they were fired in ways that aren't legal. No kidding. So this Department of Government Efficiency, what are they saving us? They're not saving us crap. They're costing taxpayers more money. And these people that are like, oh, well, I want to know where our money's going. Sure, let's be efficient. But you can't come in with a freaking jackhammer or a chainsaw or whatever whatever you want to call it. You can't just come in with that and expect that chaos is the answer, because it's really not. And the total vibe, and this Doge website puts out these fake numbers, false news, been called out, and it doesn't even matter because they just change it. So I don't even know where I was going with this video or what I'm trying to say, other than I want people to stop and think about the definition of psyops, psychological operations, and how our own government is using that against us right now. So everybody, regardless of their color, gender, demographic, should know their rights. And if you don't, you should probably learn them. And I don't even know all of mine. And that's sad to say, but I never felt the need to pay attention. And here I am. So think about how the government, the narrative is being placed, and then who is benefiting from what's happening right now, because it sure as heck ain't the American people.